Megaraptor alludes to a new taming process. Mod storage and quality of life updates. And more drama surrounding ARK and Gen AI. You're right, kids, it's Raasclark and welcome to your regular ARK community news. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share it around, and let's get into it. With the arrival of Community Crunch 467, we got a closer look at the Megaraptor, the latest and greatest creature to arrive to ARK soon, created by now hired Garuga, who brought you all of the ARK editions you've come to love so far, including the Archelon, the Dinotherium, the Deinosuchus, and much more from that mod list to appear sometime in the future for ARK. But first, we got a Megaraptor coming, and it sounds like a bit of a beast. Originally being a community creature submission that won the vote to be the exclusive creature that's going to arrive with Valguero, it seems the taming process pitched with this creature is, well, being adapted in some transformative sense, with the devs explaining this will be a shadow-stalking monster of a creature, living the solitary life and hunting you down with chilling precision and a glare that sends would-be rescuers fleeing. Pitched to seemingly have a pounce attack with its eyes firmly locked on you, the bushwhacking butcher, bone-breaking late Cretaceous carnivore suggests it might actually have some Yeti-like abilities where whoever doesn't get pinned down by the creature, everyone else is going to get scattered. With again, as pitched, any kill by this beast will apparently give it some buff that prevents anyone from damaging it. With the taming process explaining instead of its claws that you're going to need to interact with a battle with the beast, you're going to need a grisly altar of carcasses. My guess would be something like a Gigantoraptor nest that perhaps it patrols around, and once you interact with that, you've engaged into the taming process. But in order to progress through taming it, you'll need some type of fire source where you'll need to keep it at bay and then stay on a constant swivel. Could possibly be some type of battle then in that case, where it explains this fiend will fight like hell for its trophies. But once tamed, it sounds like any meat harvested from this creature is going to be able to transfer to you or your creatures through some sharing ability from a dubbed assassin that certainly portrays the original pitch that was offered. And whilst it does sound like the whole harvesting Megaraptor claws to craft Megaraptor blades to interact with the taming process of this creature is possibly not happening, there is literally a picture of blades within the dossier, so maybe there might be? Either way, this sounds like an absolute monster I'm looking forward to with Valguero when that arrives sometime late this year. It's not now August or September as Wildcard originally pitched within their roadmap. It now just says later this year. I guess they want to keep that ambiguous in case they don't get those dates exactly. I'm going to place my bets firmly on August though. And being made by the very talented Garuga, there couldn't be anyone better to bring this creature to life. Not forgetting at some point in the future we are going to get the Dinocheirius, the Suchomimus, the Cryolophosaurus, which I'm especially looking forward to due to its torpor-dealing abilities, a rejuvenated Concavenator, and the Acro, which I'm amazed by. If you've seen what the Acro can do, I am wondering how on earth this one is going to get balanced when it eventually arrives to ASA officially in vanilla. So a big giant amount of updates are rolling out pretty soon. The biggest one, of course, is mod storage, where if you recall last week or the week before, it was announced that PlayStation's mod storage would be brought up to 30 gig. Well, there's been some issues there apparently, and it's still in the process. Wildcard explained they're still working through the implementation of this upgrade as it requires some custom solutions, so unfortunately you haven't got that just yet and sounds like you might be waiting a little bit longer. But Xbox players, lucky you've got a bit of an upgrade. They've just dropped another 10 gig onto Xbox storage, bumping it all the way up to 60 gig. And with that update already rolled out, it is mentioned you need to re-download any of your mods as a one-off due to this size increase. But obviously, with the arrival of Ragnarok, there were a few bugs and issues that were certainly needing attention. Going through them bit by bit, the invisibility bug that we found across players, dinos, characters, bosses even. It was so sporadic, so random. I don't think even Wildcard know exactly why this is going on right now, but have rolled out some patch that they're crossing their fingers, will resolve this and monitoring to see if this was the fix that was needed, with possibly something related to the Spirit Bear and Wolf, the bosses of the Labyrinth, where they were rarely ever spawning at all. We, in fact, did it once or twice where during our very first run we saw these, but then after that, never saw them again. And that seems to be a case for most people, but at the very least, it's making grabbing those artifacts a bit easier, right? OSDs and Astraios, as we mentioned last weekend, whereby any structures within the radius of it falling would get destroyed but won't be fought. Now there will be, but apparently that's going to be in next week's major update. And a big one, of course, that we spotted during that giant quality of life update, that the auto harvesting with Ankies and Dodes, well, when carried by a Karkinos, didn't actually do anything. That was apparently a bug and is going to be fixed with this major update, with some inexplicable exploits fixed because, well, they don't want to share them and encourage people to figure out ways around them. I get that, fair enough. Finally, a fix for accidentally throwing off your shoulder pet with the introduction of the auto run. I've seen a lot of people having issues with this, constantly throwing creatures off their shoulders, and hopefully this is going to resolve that issue with another one of those quality life features, the quick select of structures, whereby if you hit the ping button when looking at any structure, you can then alternate to that one to build quickly on the fly. Is going to be having some revamp where there'll be a new quick select feature. Not exactly sure how additional to what already is in place this is going to be, but I'm guessing people are having issues, so this is going to resolve that. Drakelings will now correctly apply the loot crate bonus for unofficial servers. I heard there was a lot of issues surrounding any servers out there that had a higher loot quality, that the Drakeling bonus actually decreased the loot quality of anything sourced, and hopefully that's going to resolve next week. With that constant ringing in your ears speedy harvester sound that goes on forever and ever and ever and ever as long as your harvesting has now been resolved too, with Willie dropping a rant video about it last week and being thanked for it. With many more rolling out with this major update next week, and we'll be sure to capture all of them in a upcoming video. With one last thing, wild creature spawns. If you're on Ragnarok, you'll know what a shark is for sure. I don't doubt, and hopefully that's going to resolve that one. And the amount of flyers that I have lost flying through into the mesh apparently is going to be resolved too. Though I have seen this issue on other maps as well, Astraios specifically. So I am wondering, is this fix going to affect all maps and not just Ragnarok? And worth quickly mentioning this one, the summer event that was already running for quite an extended period has been extended even longer until Monday, July the 21st, to take advantage of all of those double rates. And I can't help but feeling this was a clever move by Wildcard, considering all of the issues with Aquatica. Let's put in a little sweetener to say to players who aren't playing or can't play ASE, though that has now been resolved, that whole pre-beta issue where you opt to not play the Aquatica version of it. Well, you know, you can come and play ASA with 2x rates and official instead, eh? And speaking of Aquatica, a recent post was directed to me by NanoStel, who brought up, I guess, an interesting topic debate to discuss. That, yes, we all know what this is, right? We all hate this. This is that AI Gen trailer that was originally the trailer announcement of ARK Aquatica, and well, we'd all know what happened when that released. And NanoStel does bring up a few concerns surrounding the use of generative AI. The stance being, if we are so set against the use of Gen AI, why are we kind of accepting of it in other areas of ARK, specifically looking at mods and the use of Gen AI to market any mod, or especially any premium mods. Now, this is quite an explosive subject in criticism of the modding community, and that's the last thing you want to do, being the backbone of ARK. And I'd like to iterate, this isn't in criticism of the actual mods and the mods performance themselves, but more so, where do we draw the line on Gen AI being used to promote anything within ARK? Not forgetting that it's now Steam's policy that if you've got AI used in any kind of content, including sound, code, or especially in this case art, it does need to be disclosed with Valve for publish. Which means specifically ARK Aquatica has got an even bigger issue at hand, considering, well, as soon as you launch the game, you're greeted by a Gen AI logo. And we know this is a Gen AI logo as confirmed by outside parties, developers. I won't name names. But back on mods, it's definitely a topic for discussion we need to bring up. Again, I don't want to be knocking any mods here, but when you've got an inbuilt photo mode to the game that you're making content for that easily captures the content you've created, the question being posed by Nanostel is, well, why are we defaulting to stuff like this? And once again, I really want to iterate here. I don't want to knock the modding community. They are such an essential part to ARK, and I don't want to deter any modder out there by releasing their mods. But it's a fair argument that I'm really bringing to your attention to hopefully read your comments and discussions surrounding your opinions on how this is used, what you think, and what more can be done from both a CurseForge stance and a modder stance. The biggest overarching issue with this is generative AI is getting more and more advanced day by day, that it's going to get to a point where you won't be able to distinguish what is Gen AI and what's not. In fact, I would argue possibly some of these that are being portrayed as Gen AI possibly aren't themselves. And as somebody who's certainly known to clickbait every now and then myself, though using in-game shots all the time, never using any of this Gen AI, it raises an ethical consideration on what is the right way to market anything, any mod within the mod store. And again, the reason why I'm bringing this up, this is the voice of one person, Nanostel, though I know a lot of people share the same opinions about Gen AI when we all looked at that Aquatica trailer, right? That I'm literally covering this just to gauge your opinions on the use of Gen AI on mods and the visual portrayal marketing of any mod put out there in the marketplace. So you know what to do, comment below and all that jazz, and I look forward to reading it and entering into a bit of a conversation on where we need to go from this, if we need to go anywhere at all. But that's your lot. Megaraptor coming soon. Can't wait to see this one, particularly made by Garuga. Love it. Until the next one, my name is Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always,